We are 70% water and only 30% land. And so really, the availability of fresh water is simply about energy and transport.
What if everything the electric vehicle industry built over the last 20 years was already obsolete? Not tomorrow, not in 10 years, right now. What if the billions of dollars poured into charging networks, battery factories, and lithium supply chains were already a mistake? What if the engine that makes all of it irrelevant doesn't run on electricity, doesn't run on gasoline, and doesn't need a single charging cable ever again? And what if Elon Musk, the man who built the electric vehicle empire from the ground up, already knows about it? Because here is what nobody in the mainstream media is talking about. Sources close to Tesla's Advanced Propulsion Research Division say that something has been sitting in a locked R&D vault in Nevada for years. Something that rewrites the fundamental rules of how a vehicle generates and uses energy. Something so disruptive that if it ever reaches mass production, the entire electric vehicle market, every charging station, every lithium mine, every battery gigafactory, becomes a relic of a very short-lived era. The technology has a name that sounds almost too simple to be revolutionary. People inside the industry have started calling it the water engine. And before you dismiss that as science fiction, before you assume this is just another viral rumor with nothing behind it, stay with me. Because the deeper you go into this story, the harder it becomes to look away. The financial signals are already moving. The insider conversations are already happening. And Elon Musk's silence on this topic is louder than anything he has ever said out loud. We are going to break this down completely today. What the technology actually is. Why Tesla has been sitting on it. What it means for every single person thinking about buying an electric car in the next 3 years. And most importantly, why the most powerful players in the global auto industry are absolutely terrified of what happens next. This is not a product launch. This is not a The electric vehicle industry has a secret it has been hiding in plain sight for a decade. Range anxiety is not the real problem. Charging time is not the real problem. Battery degradation is not the real problem. The real problem is this. Every single solution the EV industry has ever offered still requires you to be dependent on something outside your car. A charging station, a power grid, a lithium supply chain that stretches from mines in Congo and Chile all the way to a factory in Nevada. You are never truly free. You are always tethered. And the people who built this industry knew it from day one. Think about what an electric vehicle actually is at its core. It is a machine that stores energy someone else generated, in a battery someone else manufactured, using minerals someone else dug out of the ground, transported through a supply chain someone else controls. The moment that battery is empty, you are not just out of fuel. You are dependent on infrastructure that may or may not be available, may or may not be working, and in large parts of the United States, simply does not exist yet. That is not freedom. That is a different kind of dependency dressed up in clean technology marketing. And here is the part that the industry's biggest investors have always understood, even while they were pouring money into EV stocks. The dream was never really about eliminating dependency. It was about shifting dependency from oil companies to electricity companies, from gasoline stations to charging networks, from $1 trillion industry to another. The car you drive was always going to need something from someone. The question was only who that someone would be. But what if there was a way to break that chain entirely? What if a vehicle could generate its own energy continuously from a source so abundant and so universally available that no corporation, no government, and no supply chain could ever control it? That is the question Tesla's most secretive research team. Here is what we know, and here is why it matters more than anything else happening in the auto industry right now. The technology being discussed inside Tesla's Advanced Propulsion Research Group is not a hydrogen fuel cell. It is not a next-generation lithium battery. It is not a solar panel bolted to a roof. What engineers working close to the project have described is a closed-loop thermodynamic conversion system that uses water, specifically the molecular energy stored in hydrogen-oxygen bonds, as both a fuel source and a byproduct of its own operation. In simple terms, the system extracts usable energy from the process of water undergoing controlled molecular state changes under specific temperature and pressure conditions. The exhaust of the process is not carbon dioxide. It is not nitrogen oxide. It is not soot or particulate matter. The exhaust is water vapor. Clean, harmless, and in certain operating conditions, partially recyclable back into the system itself. The vehicle does not carry a tank of gasoline. It does not carry a 1,000-pound lithium battery pack. It carries water, and it uses that water to generate electricity continuously while the vehicle is in motion. Now, before the skeptics in the room start reaching for the comments section, understand this. The concept of extracting mechanical or electrical energy from water's thermodynamic properties is not science fiction. It is well-established physical chemistry. The challenge has never been whether it is theoretically possible. The challenge has always been efficiency, getting more usable energy out of the process than the process itself consumes. And that is exactly the breakthrough that Tesla's team is reported to have cracked. A proprietary catalyst material combined with a multi-stage pressure cycling system that pushes the net energy output ratio past the threshold that makes the system self-sustaining under normal driving conditions. The result, according to early internal test data that has begun circulating among a small group of industry analysts, is a vehicle that can travel more than 800 kilometers on a single water reservoir. Refilling takes under 3 minutes. Infrastructure cost is effectively zero because water is everywhere. And the performance numbers, 0 to 60 in under 4 seconds, sustained highway speeds above 180 kilometers per hour, are not just competitive with current electric vehicles. They are better than most of them. Now here is where the story gets complicated. And this is the part that explains why, if this technology is real, you have not heard about it through official channels yet. Because the moment a technology like this becomes public knowledge, it does not just disrupt one industry. It threatens the entire financial architecture of the modern global economy. And the people who built that architecture do not go quietly. Consider what is actually at stake. The global lithium-ion battery market is projected to reach over $400 billion by 2030. Charging infrastructure investment in the United States alone has exceeded $100 billion in committed capital over the next decade. Lithium, cobalt, nickel, and manganese mining operations across 3 continents have been scaled up specifically to meet projected electric vehicle demand. Panasonic, CATL, LG Energy Solution, companies worth hundreds of billions of dollars combined, exist almost entirely because electric vehicles need batteries. If the battery becomes obsolete, every single one of those investments becomes worthless overnight. And then there is the oil industry's angle, which is perhaps the most counterintuitive part of this entire story. You might assume that oil companies would celebrate a technology that kills electric vehicles. But think more carefully. A water-based propulsion system does not bring drivers back to the gas station. It eliminates the gas station entirely, just like it eliminates the charging station. The oil industry loses. The electricity industry loses. The battery industry loses. Everyone in the current energy dependency chain loses simultaneously. That is why multiple sources suggest that when early details of this project began circulating outside Tesla's internal network, the response from certain industry and political quarters was not curiosity. It was suppression. Patent filings connected to the underlying catalyst technology were reportedly challenged on procedural grounds before they could be fully published. Engineers who left Tesla during the 2024 layoffs and attempted to discuss their work in the adjacent research area found themselves facing non-disclosure enforcement at an unusually aggressive level. And Elon Musk, who tweets about everything from cryptocurrency to geopolitics to what he had for breakfast, has said absolutely nothing about advanced propulsion research in over 18 months. That silence is a data point. And in the context of everything else happening around this story, it is a very loud one. Let's talk about what the competition is actually doing right now, because this context is critical to understanding why Tesla's reported timing on this technology is not accidental. It is strategic. BYD has surpassed Tesla in total global electric vehicle sales. That is a fact. Their vertical integration, making their own batteries, their own chips, controlling their own supply chain, gives them a cost advantage in the mid-range market that Tesla has genuinely struggled to match on price alone. The price war between these two companies in 2024 was brutal. Tesla cut prices multiple times. Margins compressed. Investors got nervous. Elon Musk talked about cost reduction constantly. But here is what most analysts missed while they were focused on the quarterly sales numbers. The price war was never Tesla's real game. Tesla has never competed primarily on price and has never won on price. Tesla competes on technology discontinuity. on making the previous generation of everything irrelevant with a single announcement. The original Roadster made people take electric vehicles seriously. The Model S made luxury automakers uncomfortable. The Plaid motor made performance benchmarks meaningless. Full self-driving, whether you believe in its timeline or not, is an attempt to make the concept of a driver optional. Every move Tesla makes is designed not to win today's market, but to make today's market disappear. And a water-based propulsion system, if it is real, if it works at scale, if it can be produced at a competitive cost, is the ultimate expression of that strategy. It does not compete with BYD's Blade battery. It does not compete with Toyota's solid-state battery timeline. It does not compete with GM's Ultium platform. It makes all of them irrelevant in the same way the iPhone made the physical keyboard irrelevant. Not gradually, not partially, completely. And the timing matters enormously. Because in 2025, the electric vehicle narrative is under more pressure than it has been at any point in the last decade. Range anxiety never fully went away. Charging infrastructure in rural America remains genuinely inadequate. Battery fires have made international headlines. Lithium mining ethics have become a mainstream conversation. Consumer hesitation is measurable and growing. The EV industry is at its most vulnerable moment since it became mainstream. And that is exactly the moment you introduce the technology that resets the entire game. Rivian is burning cash. Lucid is selling to a niche. Ford has cut EV production targets twice. GM's Ultium rollout has been slower and more expensive than projected. The window is open. And Tesla, sitting on what may be the most consequential propulsion technology since the internal combustion engine itself, appears to be waiting for precisely this moment to walk through it. So where does this leave you? Where does it leave the millions of people right now standing at the crossroads of the biggest purchasing decision of the next decade? Whether to buy electric, whether to wait, whether to trust the technology, whether to trust the timeline. Here is the honest answer. We are at an inflection point that the automotive industry has not seen since Ford put the horse out of business. The rules are being rewritten in real time. And the frustrating truth is that no single video, no single analyst, no single leaked document can tell you with absolute certainty which technology wins this race. Solid-state batteries might get there first. Honda's self-regenerating hybrid might reshape the middle market before Tesla makes its next move. BYD might scale faster than anyone predicts. And yes, a water-based propulsion system might arrive and make all of those conversations feel like arguments about the best way to saddle a horse. What we do know is this. The signals are real. The financial market reactions surrounding Tesla's advanced research pipeline are not the behavior of people responding to rumors. The strategic silence from Musk on propulsion technology is not the behavior of someone with nothing to say. The aggressive non-disclosure enforcement around former Tesla engineers working in adjacent research areas is not the behavior of a company protecting ordinary intellectual property. Something is coming. The question is not whether the water engine technology exists. The question is when Tesla decides the moment is right to show it. And when that moment arrives, when Elon Musk walks onto a stage and drops a single slide showing a vehicle that runs on water, produces zero emissions, needs no charging infrastructure, and costs less to operate than anything currently on the road, the electric vehicle industry, as we know it, will not just be disrupted. It will be over. Not in the way that electric vehicles disrupted gasoline. That was a transition spread over decades, full of compromises and infrastructure battles and consumer hesitation. This would be different. This would be the moment where the old world simply stops making sense, where a charging station is as relevant as a blacksmith shop, where a lithium battery factory is as necessary as a steam engine foundry, where everything the industry spent the last 20 years building becomes a very expensive monument to a very brief era. The only question left is whether you will be ready when it happens, or whether you will be the person who waited too long, bought the wrong technology, and watched from the side as everything changed without you. That moment may be closer than anyone in this industry wants to admit. And when it arrives, remember, you heard about it here first.